If your 2005 to 2015 four-wheel drive Tacoma has taken a beating off-road, or you just need to do some maintenance for your on-road driving, this front CV axle shaft and hub assembly set will be a great kit to look into. Now, wheel bearings and CV joints are parts on your Tacoma that inevitably wear and can cause a number of different issues down the line if you don't address them, like vibration and feedback in your steering. You could have loose steering, and even if this boot is ripped here, you can start to fling grease everywhere, which really isn't fun to clean up. Now, luckily, this set exists, offering an affordable OE style way to replace both axle shafts and hubs to regain confidence in your Tacoma's drivability for wherever you're taking your truck, whether that be on the trail or daily driving on the street. This kit will come with 2 CV axle shafts here and 2 hub assemblies, being a complete kit for the front. Now, these components will feature an OE style design, so there's not going to be a huge change here in what you can see from your from this setup compared to the factory one. Now, the difference will come in performance, tightening back up that steering, balancing out that wobble that you may have felt, and will be strong enough to carry the load of 35-inch tires. This will all have a heavy grade steel construction, again keeping up to that OE standard and even exceeding it when it comes to that additional load that these can bear. Now, the portion of the axles and hubs that you can see and will be exposed to the elements will also have a high glass raw polish to resist any rusting. The axles will also come with pre-installed rubber boots to replace the old brittle factory ones and new seals to prevent any movement. Now, the kit will also come with everything that you need for install, again being a complete kit with no questions asked. Now, like I said, this kit is going to be pretty affordable, coming in at roughly $450. Now, compared to others available on this site, this is going to, again, be a complete kit, which will bring it to a higher price point compared to other less inclusive kits, while still being very budget friendly compared to some super high performance options. Now, I think if you have trust in the OE basics and want a solid replacement for your axles and hubs without breaking the bank, then this is going to be a fantastic way to do it. Install on this will be a 3 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, and with the right tools and setup, it'll probably take you about a day, give or take, to get the job done. Now, speaking of the install, one of our customers here has actually installed this on their Tacoma and is going to walk you through the basics on how to get this installed on yours. So that is going to wrap it up for me. Let's go ahead and get into it.
For this project, we use a magnet tray to keep track of our bolts. We use the small and a large impact driver. We use these large channel lock pliers, the axle grease in a couple of places, the anti-seize for the lower control arm bolts when we put those back in, brake cleaner as we reassembled and kept our surfaces clean, putting them all back together. We used an assortment of hammers throughout this project. We used a 17 millimeter wrench, box end wrench, opening combination wrench for those hub assembly bolts. We used a few different size flathead screwdrivers for prying off the dust cover. And let's see, for the sockets, there's a socket wrench. We used an adapter here for moving onto our 1/2-inch drive torque wrench, which gave out on us at the end of this project. We used a few different extensions. We used a 10 millimeter, a 12 millimeter, a 17, a 19, a 21, and a 35. Those are the sockets you need for this job. We also used this tie rod separator, which is made to take that off without destroying the boot. We rented that at the parts store. Let's see, we used these pliers for the cotter pin, used a breaker bar for a couple of those bolts. We used a pry bar for getting the axle out of the differential. And let's see, what's not shown here is we used also a floor jack and a couple of jack stands. That's about it. Why don't you get your strap wrapped around the public control arm first. Yeah, and we'll just hook it into that top bolt hole in this thing. No, just put it right here.
And then do...
Yeah, put it in the same hole.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Roll it off. All right, now we're gonna remove this dust cover. There it is. This cotter pin, he's got it. Okay. Now we need our 35 millimeter socket. Now we're going to take off these 4 bolts back here, which are holding in the hub up against this knuckle right here, and the dust cover is pinched in between those 2 things. So as we back out these bolts, they'll run into the back of this hub here, or where the lug nuts are mounted. And so what you do is you go a little bit with each 4 of the 4, and then you pull the hub out of the knuckle to give yourself some more space and kind of work this back, and then you just repeat that process. So it's good to use an open-ended wrench, but to break these loose, we're going to use the boxed end because they are pretty tight. We actually need the 17 for that, which just might be that guy. Just remember, you got to be able to get that box end out of there. So you should use the open end for this and try to twist them off with your fingers as soon as you can. Probably with gloves would be better, because then you can grab onto them a little tighter. Oh, nice. Did it move already? Oh, you pushed the axle back. It didn't pull the hub out.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, it did? Okay, great. That's good. Very good news. Okay. And now you're just going to go back around those bolts until they're free from the knuckle, which you saw that first one come loose. That's good. And there goes the hub assembly with the bearing in there, dust cover. Let's see, the next thing we need to do is detach that tie rod and those bottom 2 bolts that hold on the lower control arm. All right, we're gonna use the impact ratchet for this. This is a 19 millimeter on the tie rod. You can do that. I mean, it's a rental tool. I'd rather not break it. I'd also like to not see it come flying off and hit you in the leg. Good. Just slowly crank on that. That's under some pretty tight pressure right now. There it goes. There we go. That's what we needed. See? All right, now we're going to take off these lower control arm bolts. It's a 19 millimeters. Sometimes these will be seized up, and we don't want any trouble, so we're going to go ahead and use the impact, the big one. Now we should be able to swing that knuckle out and around enough to get the axle out. Okay, we just wanted to reposition this brake caliper so we can get a good look at this from over here. Now that's out, and to pull it out from the engine, we're just gonna go underneath there and pry it loose. But first I'm gonna sweep up that mess underneath there, and then I'll come right back. Okay, so this is where the axle enters the differential right here. You see these notches, those are for you to tap on to pop it out so that it's can free itself up from the little spring clip that kind of hangs onto it in there. Okay, now in with the new. Okay, so we're just putting the other end through the knuckle, so it's pointing more to the straight. And so you're gonna give it some taps like that. Okay, do more of that. So you're just gonna keep doing that. There you go. And now it's in. Okay. Okay, so we've got the new axle fitted into the differential. It's just kind of loosely hanging into this knuckle right now. We're gonna clean this out with a rag and some brake cleaner. Since I just put brake cleaner on it, you grab a little dab of that grease and spread it on that seal. Okay, and I'm just doing that because brake cleaner will dry out that piece, and that's kind of not what we want. So I'm gonna put that back up in here. And now we can grab the new hub. We have that ready. So we're positioning the jack underneath the lower control arm to press it back up. And in order to bolt that back together, because that's a lot easier to do while the dust cover is out of the way. Okay, that's good right there. Now go ahead and grab those bolts in, put some anti-seize on those. All right, go for the other side. We can snug those down with the impact ratchet, the small one, and then we'll torque them down.
All right,
It's all good.
all right, just tell me when to stop.
Okay, so let's get this to 67. I got you. All right. Tie rod is torqued down. Now is that hole lined up?
It's lined up enough, yeah. Yeah, it's good.
Okay. You bend it up over the nut with the pliers. Move this hand out of the way so you can see that. There you go. Okay, just hold that in and then tap on it. There you go. Just tap it over like a hammer. Tap, yeah. You gotta hold it still with your other hand. Grab onto the frame underneath there, way up there. Yeah. Nice. Okay. Good.
That's awesome.
Okay, so now the dust cover.
Caliper sitting up right here. Bro, just got disconnected.
Mm-hmm. That's okay. We can push that back up in a minute.
Up. It needs to go up.
Just go around with the open end of knot 17.
I can just use the ratchet side because I'm not, loosening it.
Okay. Loosen gonna keep tightening this down. That hurt. Oh, that was just me. All right. Hub assembly. Check. We need to put the axle nut on. Okay, now with the axle pulled through the hub, about as far as we can get by hand, now we're going to put this 35 millimeter axle nut back on. Okay, so we're getting ready to tighten down this axle nut. In order to actually torque it with a torque wrench, we need to put a jack stand underneath one of the lug nuts to keep it from twisting while we do that. So we're gonna send it home first with the Ugadug, and then we're gonna give it a check with the torque wrench set at as high as we can as it goes, just for good measure. It's got to be a little tighter than our torque wrench really goes. So it's the best we can do, and we think it's good enough, especially as easy as it came off. I think we'll have it at least better than it was running a minute ago. So go ahead and do that. Get the 35 millimeter ready. Also, yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, cool.
All right, it's time to stop.
Okay, so the torque setting on that is, what is it? Is it 185 pounds or is it 200 pounds?
I think it's like 185.
Yeah, 185. We're
something like that.
We're at about that here. Yeah. So now we can put that cotter pin and bolt cover on there. I hope it lines up good like the last one did. There you go.
Boom.
Hey, look at that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then get your pliers and bend that around. You need to bend that over the top of the. Turn it so it's, yeah, there you go. You got it so it's going to come out towards you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. The long side.
Mm-hmm.
The long way. There it goes. All right, now just tap it the rest of the way. Hold on to it with the others. Hold on to the other place. There you go.
Okay.
That's great.
That's probably good.
Okay. You want to put the rotor and the caliper on?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay.
So the nice thing about that caliper is you could fit your hand right in from the top and hold those. All right, the rotor's going on. You have your bolts ready? Oh, they're back there, so they're gonna be in your way. Yeah, I'll hold them for you until you're ready to. Unhooking the caliper from the hanger. Okay. Yeah, reach in from the back with these fingers. Nice and easy. Cool. Very good. Now let's get that bracket. That bracket's gonna work against you up there. This guy. So you kind of bend it there. Okay.
What?
You're cool. Just reinstalling this caliper. There's 2 bolts back there. What are these? 17s?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. They're started. Now, just take the impact wrench down there. And you'll need the wobbly for the bottom one. which is right here at your bench, is a 17. Or is that the 19 on there?
I think it's 17, yeah.
Okay, so grab that bottom one first because you need the wobbly for that. That's good. Those only torque to 67, so that should be well enough right there to get them ready to torque. Okay, this bracket up here needs to be reattached.
It was a 10 or 11.
Yeah, it's a 12.
12.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, that feeds right up in there. You go. And then you might still have to wiggle it a little bit till that bolt starts. Did you get going?
Yeah, it's going.
Okay, then you hit it with the tool here. It's a 12. So just lightly tighten that with that guy, or you could use the wrench. You can just snug it down with that and then use the wrench. Good. Okay, let's see. We'll just go through our little checklist. We put a cotter pin on that crown nut for the tie rod, and that's torqued down. The lower control arm bolts were torqued down.
Yep.
The caliper bracket bolts were torqued down without the proper wrench. We'll go buy a new wrench and recheck those tomorrow. Yeah,
That's it.
dust covers on, brakes reattached. We didn't take the ABS sensor off, so nothing to do there. And we did not disconnect the sway bar bracket, the sway bar arm. So we're done. We're gonna put this tire on and call this a wrap.
So that's gonna wrap it up for my review and the install of this front CV axle shaft and hub assembly kit, fitting all 2005 to 2015 four-wheel drive Toyota Tacomas. And remember, for all things Tacoma, keep it right here at extremeterrain.com.